It's the Al Travis Show. We're lucky to have our next guest on. Love having him here. Todd Bergeth. He's in with, of course, Todd and Friends, Todd and Souhan, and he's on our program as well. Love having him. Todd, how are you?
I'm good, Al. Thanks.
Good. A lot going on in the state. I don't know if it's all shocking. Seems a little weird. Cam has gone as president of the Minnesota Vikings, Queza Adolfo Menza.
Yep.
They just gave him an extension in May.
Mm-hmm.
So we love you in May, and then we hate you so much you're gone come January.
Then we'll continue to pay you on that contract. I know.
It seems so weird. What happened there in your opinion?
It does. I thought I was surprised they gave him the extension. I would let him play out the last year. So that was the first turn back then when they gave him the extension.
Yep.
I don't know. The thing is, the Wilfs are probably the best owners in Minnesota because they don't mind spending the money.
Yeah.
And they don't mind making moves, to give a guy an extension and move off of him shortly after because you just feel he's not doing the job. So what happened since May? I don't know. There has to be some internal things going on. We've read articles that, that Quasi was kind of a corporate GM in that he worked hours where he went home for supper with his wife and family at night and spent the evenings at home. And, while we in the regular world will say, well, yeah, but in the NFL world, for an executive, nope, that's not what you do. You work until, midnight. You put in insane hours, especially during the season. Yep. And that was one thing. But that would have shown itself before May, before the extension, right? It's possible that they just got caught unable to make a decision, which it seems like again now, because it's a month since the season ended. And now what's happened in the last month? I mean, everybody else was let go that was going to be let go within a few days of their season ending, and the Vikings wait a month. So that seems curious as well. There's got to be something behind the scenes, obviously, that we just don't know. Now, what we do know is that he hasn't been very good at drafting, and the quarterback situation was a complete mess for the last year. They bungled that for the last 2 years, really. I was fine with moving on with Cousins. They found that when they drafted a guy, they found a good replacement with Darnold. I was ready to move on from him as well because of what he showed us in the playoffs. But they didn't handle the backup for this year very well. They didn't have the right guy, and maybe that lands at his doorstep more than it does KOC. Maybe Quasi was the one who was saying, I'm only paying Darnold this much. I'm not going any further than that. And because they did offer him a deal. He just got better in Seattle. So does it all relate to the Sam Darnold situation and him making the Super Bowl? And curiously, shortly after that, Quasi gets fired because now the Vikings have some egg on their face because of that. I don't think that's the only reason, but I don't think you can discount it completely either. I mean, owners are guys with fairly significant egos. Yeah. So it probably galls them a little bit to see Sam Darnold quarterbacking his team in the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you this, because if it was a head coach, if KOC was gone, or just as we do with all the coaches leave, you'll hear a half a dozen other coaches that you remember, their names they could move over, or an offensive coordinator or a defensive, he's fantastic. Flores as an example is thrown out there. And people in the football world know these names. And would they be good or not? I don't know how many general managers are out there. I couldn't tell you a good one from a bad one that's waiting around wanting this spot.
Yeah.
What do we do now? Just hope that the Wolves understand that the right guy will come along?
They'll roll with Rob Brzezinski. I think they're totally comfortable with that at this point. As a matter of fact, I was surprised they didn't just name him the GM when they named Quasi. Quasi was a complete outside-the-box hire. He was he had been in the NFL for a while, but that wasn't his training. He was not a football guy. He's a numbers guy. He's an analytics guy. Yeah. So they just went too far to that side. You need to have good analytics in your front office, but that can't be their only training. And unfortunately, that was Quasi. And Brzezinski, he does such a terrific job for them on the salary cap, making sure they can get the guys they want. How do we restructure contracts? He's well regarded around the league in that. And maybe they wanted to keep him in that role and not put player evaluations at the draft and so many other things on his plate that a GM has to handle. But I think he can. And maybe now they'll decide to give him a chance at doing that very thing. They'll roll with him through the draft. and then we'll see after that. I would not be surprised if Rob Brzezinski, after the draft sometime, is named the Vikings GM.
I think as it was a month after, I was a little shocked that he was let go in that, again, the extension in May. On the other side, on the Twin side, Derek Falvey is let go. It doesn't surprise me. You got a team out like this. I think you have to start from scratch. But I'm under the impression Derek did exactly what the Pohlads wanted. He was now just their scapegoat.
Yeah. So he did exactly what Joe Pohlad wanted. Yeah. And then there was a hijacking of the responsibilities in the front office, and Tom takes over. And so he wants his own guy, apparently. Now, it was interesting that they appeared in the same Zoom call. And so it really was a mutual parting of the ways. But if you watch the body language of the two, and I didn't pick up on this when I first watched it, I went back and watched it again after reading some analysis of it, and it really does look like when Falvey says, hey, I've done all I can, it's like he's relaxed, his shoulders are comfortable, his face has no tension in it. It appeared to me as though he was relieved to no longer be in charge of the Twins because of all the upheaval in ownership. How could you not? Falvey has a good reputation. He's not being run out on a rail because the Twins lost 100 games 4 years in a row. He's just not. Other people will look and see that Falvey did what he could with the resources that he was given by the Twins. Now, I'm not a huge Falvey fan. We never really saw the pitching develop like I thought we would because of the Cleveland organization. And then you looked at Tom Pohlad, and he was tight and tense and nervous. It's possible Falvey went to him and said, this just isn't for me anymore. Can we do something where I kind of mutually part ways? Because then he's not on the hook for his contract either. If Falvey steps away, they don't have to pay him anymore either. So I'm sure that Tom probably was on board with some buyout of some kind.
Who wants this job, though? You're looking at an empty cupboard of players, correct? I mean, there really is not a team to build around here. You're seeing what the Pohlads have done. You're going to see empty stadiums, in my opinion, to start this year. Who wants this gig?
There'll be somebody. There aren't that many jobs that run major league teams. There's only 30 of those. And these guys are baseball lifers that come up. You probably, it won't be a guy, we know who it is. We knew who Derek Shelton was when they brought him in as manager because he had been with the Twins previously. They tend to like the comfortable shoe. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody who's within the organization. They promote from within, or they have somebody that was once in the organization. And, president of baseball operations, they're behind-the-scenes guys anyway. They have a GM in place. They'll probably just let Zoll run it for a while. I don't think they're going to be in any hurry to hire the next president of baseball operations.
All right, that's fair enough. We'll talk other stuff on the other side. I want to get your pick real quick on the Super Bowl. I also want to talk about it's about time now, I think. I think with the Minnesota Timberwolves, it is time to bust it up. Do what you got to do to make a trade to make me happy. We'll talk about that coming up here with Todd Bergeth on the Al Travis Show. Don't go anywhere. More after this. I'm Todd and friends. Todd and Souhan. I've got them. Todd, my thoughts on the Super Bowl. I got to root for him. I know it's not going to, maybe it'll cause you more problems with the Minnesota Vikings. But we want all red to win. Go Seahawks. Beat New England. They've won enough times. Are we just going to have to go with them? They're 4.5-point faves.
I'm pulling for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I can't pull for New England to be right back to the top again after all the championships they have won. I'm over my, I've wiped the egg from my face for being anti-Sam Darnold, and I'm just going to enjoy the game and pull for him. Sam Darnold's a terrific guy. I mean, he's the guy, if you have a daughter, of that age, you'd want her to marry a guy like Sam Darnold because the guy persevered. He kept going. He was in a bad organization for 3 years with the Jets. That set his development back a good deal. He went to Carolina, and they didn't know what they were doing there. Finally, he starts to get some better coaching into better organizations, and he becomes the player he's capable of. With that, he still turns the ball over a lot. I mean, he did lead the NFL in turnovers. So he did not have a season where he was, they weren't talking about Sam Darnold at the end of the year for MVP, despite the fact they were the number 1 seed in the NFC. They were talking about the guy that was the 5 seed getting the MVP.
Do I have to throw Brett Favre at you? He'd throw interceptions too at just the weirdest times, but he knew how to win.
But he didn't lead the league in turnovers. And it's turnovers, not just interceptions, because fumbles are worse. Fumbles lost by a quarterback are worse than interceptions. And Sam's a fumbler of the football. He holds the ball in one hand in the pocket a lot, and that tends to get him stripped. Nonetheless, I'm pulling for him. I want Sam. I'm not a Seahawks fan. Right? I hated those Legend of Boom teams. I couldn't stand how mouthy they were. I don't like either team in the Super Bowl, which happens a lot. But I'll go with Seattle. I'll ride with your boy Sam Darnold.
Thank you. Let's do this. I'm ready to do something with my Minnesota Timberwolves. The last couple of games have just put me over the top. You're playing the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja on the team. You can't even tell me who the next guy is on that team. They win by 28, 29 on the first day, go right back and play again, and the team that drives me nuts shows up. Yeah. They just can't play together. They don't seem to care. They gave a bunch of B squad guys 137 points. We need someone. I don't care if it's a point guard. I don't care if it's Giannis. I want somebody to come in here that says, guys, if you want to win, you play every game. It's just driving me nuts. Tell me I'm nuts. Tell me I'm wrong. It's ridiculous.
We would love to see that. I just don't know that it's the modern reality. And the Timberwolves aren't the only team that has a bad game, right after a good game. That does happen. Again, I think we get a lot more stirred up about regular season games than the players themselves. As long as they're in the top 6 seeds, it really is about the matchups. It doesn't matter if you're the 6 or the 4 or the 2. Okay. If you're the 1, nobody else is going to get that. The 2 could still be had, but you're right. They have to get it going. The big news that may or may not happen this week is, are they going to trade for Giannis?
Yes.
There seems to be a situation where they're trying to do it, but can they get it done? So let me throw this trade at you, Al, since you want to blow everything up. So this is 6 ESPN NBA insiders got together, put together their best trade proposals. So this is some good guys who know what they're talking about. So it's a 3-team trade, the Wolves, Raptors, and Bucks. The Wolves get Giannis, his brother, that's probably part of the deal, and Gary Trent Jr., who's a local kid. They give up to the Bucks Bergeth, Dillingham, Shannon, I know you don't care yet, but Julius Randle. And then Toronto has to be involved at the deal because the Wolves have no draft pick capital, so that's where all that comes in, is with Toronto. And they send Jaden McDaniels to Toronto. So that's the proposal that 6 NBA insiders came up with, that the Wolves could end up with Giannis for that trade proposal. So you're giving up Bergeth, Dillingham, Randall, Shannon, and McDaniels. Is that something you're willing to do?
See, the McDaniel, to me, I'm sitting here saying, yes, I'd almost want to do it. The problem is you still don't have a point guard that's going to do you any favors and run this team. So you're still shy there. Jaden McDaniels has great potential in my book. Sometimes he shows it and he's just unbelievable. The next time you don't know where he's at.
Of late. He's been terrific lately.
Julius Randle has been the cornerstone for me, I know, and is the player. But Julius has shown up every night for me. Every time I watch it, you look at his points, Julius is Julius. If you had to give up Julius to get Giannis, yes, I would do it. But somewhere we got to get somebody who can handle the ball. This Rob Dillingham, could you be any less? What did this guy do? Is he dating the coach's wife? He can't. You would put money on Joe Ingles will get in a game before Rob Dillingham, and he's our guy.
I know. And they traded up to get him. Yes. They moved up to the number 8 pick to select him. So that's the difficult thing when you're trying to evaluate teenagers and how they may develop into full-grown men and capable of being in the NBA. He's, 19 or 20 years old still. It's his second year in the league. He reminds me a lot of J.J. McCarthy.
There you go.
They valued him higher than he was ready to be valued. The Vikings thought J.J. McCarthy could step in and be the starter. He wasn't ready. They misjudged him. The Timberwolves have done the same thing with Rob Dillingham. They felt like by his second year, he would be ready to take over as the point guard, and he's not. The game goes too fast for him. He doesn't read it very well. They drafted him because of his speed and explosiveness, his ability to run the break, not for his jump shot, not for his basketball IQ. They thought they could help him with that over the years. That could still happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And it is a slow process, and it's hard to be patient when, what do we need? We need a playmaking point guard. What's Rob Dillingham supposed to be? A playmaking point guard, and he can't even get on the floor. So, it's pretty frustrating. But
to answer your question, I think I make the deal. Right now, I'm so frustrated with this team. For Giannis, I make the deal. You have Giannis and Edwards on a team. Gobert, your defensive player of the year. I think you're in the game. I think you have to. This team isn't driving me to watch. If it's on late at night, I won't watch it. I'll read about it the next day because I just don't know who's going to show up.
Well, that's fair enough. That's totally fair. I'm still of the opinion that they did go to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. Yep. They have the same team intact. They were what were they, the 6th seed last year, and they made it to the Western Conference Finals. They beat teams on the road because they are good on the road. So I don't get quite as caught up in the 82-game regular season. They get to the last few. I want to see them playing well, but I want to see them play well in the postseason. So, but I think I'm with you. I think, although Jaden McDaniels is hard to give up, but Randall, to a lesser extent, is harder for me to give up because of his age, and he's more advanced in his career and so forth, whereas McDaniel still has upside. But I'm with you. I'd make the deal because it would just be fun to have Giannis on the team. Now, if he comes over, and because a calf sometimes turns into an Achilles, that's a risk. So if they make the trade in his second game with the team, he blasts his Achilles, we're not going to be very happy.
No, absolutely. I would just say to you, to slap you back a little bit, that yes, this is the same Minnesota Timberwolves team, and Oklahoma City is probably the same Oklahoma City team for the most part. But the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Lakers, they all got better last year.
No,
they all made trades to make themselves better. It's going to be a harder trade.
Again, let's see what happens in the playoffs, because the Wolves have beaten all of those teams during the regular season.
I'll tell you what, how about you and I talk about it as we go along? Fair enough?
Yes, we'll do that.
I appreciate you, Todd. I really do. I appreciate you being on the program. We'll get you back in here next week. Todd Bergeth on the Al Travis Show. Todd and Friends, Todd and Souhan. Get them wherever you get your podcasts. More right after this.